good overview actually.
Yeah, of the whole setup. Let's see.
Mario, you made me for a bit really emotional when made me asking those questions.
Yeah, I think,
You don't often think about it, or at least try to just focus on positive and everything, but like, my God, it's like, also that's why I have to put down that book, because like it just hits some parts. I think it's mostly here, or like here, I guess. This doesn't really think, but I don't know, it's intense. And positive or negative, no matter how the way you say it, if you think about realistically, we will witness a lot of more degradation before we can.
yeah,
It's a bit.
that's a little bit of the idea also, because it's, like you said, we don't have a lot of long-term planning.
Yeah.
And when I ask my students, for example, like, what do they think about the future?
Yeah.
They mention climate change.
Yeah.
But when I ask them, like, why do they choose their study? To work in tourism. And then there's not So I think that maybe, especially for people taking action,
Yeah.
sometimes having a moment to reflect and think about the future can help, because you're often like stuck and just doing like what needs to be done right now.
Yeah.
Right now, and then you like
Forget the long term.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we are having a series of conversations. They're very open, kind of in-depth conversations about the ocean and Aruba. So our interconnectedness with the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to talk to different people who are active on the ocean in one or another way. So who are engaged with the ocean actively, to see what kind of drives them, how they see it, and where they see opportunities. So it's very open, and the
Yeah.
questions are it's completely from your perspective.
Okay.
So it's not aimed to be like any, like scientific, or like this is the correct answer,
Yeah.
just from your personal experience.
Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So we usually start by asking if you can share with us some of your earliest memories of the ocean.
Ooh. I think the earliest memories I have is at Isola d'Elba, which is an island in front of Tuscany.
Okay.
I went there since I was pretty much born until I was 22 with my family. Every summer we will go a month there. And I remember going swimming and fishing with my father. That's like my earliest memories with the sea.
Nice. And can you tell us how that shaped you, going to the ocean, or like what you remember thinking or feeling going to that island?
Yeah, well, for us, it was really wonderful period because it was also like family from Belgium, half Belgium. So the family from Belgium will come with my cousin, and we'll all rent a house together in Isradelpa, and then we'll spend the whole summer, like 1 month, together there. And I remember, for me, I don't know, I always liked being in the sea or close to the sea, but I lived inland on Florence, so that was like not close to the sea. Every time we were there, I remember really happy memories, to be honest. Okay, I was a child, so no worries, but yeah, it was fantastic. Especially also the feeling of always going, we always went swimming or kayaking or also fishing or spear fishing. I was always like, I don't know, fantastic feeling of being able to dive in the ocean, free dive, or simply also diving.
Nice. Can you tell us about some experiences you've had in the ocean that you feel have changed you, that were impactful to your life, or with the ocean?
Eh, I can think of a few actually. And I think the first one was when I. First one was when I started diving in Italy, and that was when I was 16, when I took my first license for dive, and this whole new world opened up because I could really like stay underwater and explore the ocean, and it was like, I don't know, it felt like a whole new world opened up, and then unfortunately life took me on different paths, but then I dropped it a bit. But I started again in 2015 when I was here in Aruba. And I remember when I went diving again, and was actually, I realized that when I was in Bonaire, we were on a dive on a shipwreck, and there was a big school of barracudas next to us, and it was just like, and I was like perfect buoyancy, so floating, and it was like, I felt at home. Like I really felt underwater, and I felt, oh my god, this is wonderful. And from there, I started to also shape my studies for my master and everything to go around the ocean.
Nice. So it is like being in the Caribbean that connected you back to the ocean in a way.
Actually, yes, because for my studies I moved to the Netherlands, and that sea is a bit too cold and dark, and even though it's beautiful to see the roughness and everything, but like it was when I was here and I restarted diving that I really felt that strong connection.
Okay. Um, and uh, how would you describe the role of the ocean in the person that you are today, or how you see yourself?
It's a very good question, and I don't know. I think considering how I changed my study direction, and pretty much has really strongly shaped who I am today. Because like since 2015, I then changed completely. I wanted to do like conservation on land, and mostly with I was thinking the savannah, Africa, like this. And then when I had this connection with the sea, I just changed completely. And I started to work up my diving certificates up to dive master. Started to work in dive centers in Italy. I then went to study marine ecology. I got into any kind of water sports. It's just any excuse for being with the ocean now. I try to find it. Let's say, and so I think it plays a really big role in who I am today, and I think also who I'm gonna be in the future.
So you mentioned a few things already, like you do water sports and
Mm-hmm.
diving. You studied marine ecology.
Yes.
So can you tell us a bit more about what are the different ways that you're currently interacting with the ocean,
Of
or
course. I have a few ways I interact, and I think water sports is one of them. So I like to kite, I like to windsurf, I like to free dive a lot, especially for underwater photography. I love to dive also, and also for photography and for work. And I participate and I help with ScubbleBubbles. I'm in the board of ScubbleBubbles, and so also with that we interact with the corals, with the diving, with the youth, and involving them in nature conservation and restoration. I would say then I like to sail, and I try to go sailing sometimes, and then professionally also with my work. I'm a marine ecologist, like by profession, let's say, and I'm starting now my PhD also that will look at the study between corals and tourism and land interactions. So I think I'm trying to push everything towards the ocean, but so in many ways, both professionally and recreationally, I interact with the ocean.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think, are there any more like things that you want to share on your personal experience with the ocean?
Mm, I don't know. I find it a very humbling place. It's like every time I'm in the ocean, I feel like very small, and I feel very like impressed by the strength of the ocean, by the beauty of the ocean, and it's something I really hope to bring across also to the people. Like when with my work, I try to always bring like students' connection with the nature, and I would like to increase it also with the ocean. So I think that's something that the ocean inspired me to do.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna go a bit deeper into the ocean, and so we're gonna look at we're trying to make an ocean systems map. So you're familiar with the concept of a systems map?
Not specifically.
No?
No.
Okay. So basically, you're gonna see like what are the different factors and how they interact with each other.
Okay. Yeah.
And so you can go as detailed or as abstract as you prefer, whatever your experience is. So what I like to say is like, well, sometimes we go first and we list all of the elements that make the ocean work.
Yeah.
And then we put them together. This affects that affects this, and this then goes into that.
That sounds
right?
great. Yeah.
Okay. Let me get some.
Okay, because I was wondering if I have to remember it, I'm gonna get lost in my mind.
Yeah, no, we have that.
Yeah.
Paper and post-its.
Oh, nice. And there's already a hotel
No,
post.
these are other people's notes. Sorry.
No.
Don't let it influence you.
No. Okay.
So yeah, we can start with the. You tell me like the elements, and then we can start.
Okay. And how much time do we have for this?
Well, there's 3 hours planned for the interview, right? So
Okay, good.
You can take your time.
We can elaborate.
Yeah.
Okay. Because funny enough, I did something similar for my master thesis.
Okay.
Where I made a network interaction around the reef and small islands. So I could take that, but like that's too many.
You could send it to us.
Yeah,
that
I
would
can
be
send
good
it to you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that'd be great.
And we're planning to expand it now with my PhD, so for sure
Nice.
I'll elaborate on it.
I can show you the one. So we're integrating everyone's maps together.
Oh, cool.
So to see what the collective understanding of the ocean is.
Okay, super nice. And are we talking the ocean in general or the ocean around Aruba?
Around Aruba.
Okay, nice. That narrows
it connects with the rest of the ocean.
Yeah, it's
so
one
it can
ocean,
be,
but yeah. Okay. Well, I will start with then the water. There's like the. And then we have, if I start in the water, I will start with mangroves, seagrass, and corals. And they're all interconnected. Mangroves, the seagrass, and the corals, through the transport also of animals and also of nutrients through the water. Maybe then also fish specifically, and then I leave all the crustaceans and others like in the animals, but I'll include fish specifically. And I think, well, if we have to consider also Aruba, I would like to include also the coastline, and that's, and then we have to look a bit at many things. And I think when we look at the coastline and how the coastline interacts with the
if you want, we can also do this part on the table.
Yeah,
then
maybe
we can open
easier.
it wider.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds like you're coming a bit to an end of the.
Yeah, I think so.
So now, if you want to, you can move them around and start to draw lines.
Hold up.
With like which one connects to which one.
Okay.
Like you already mentioned some of the connections.
Yeah.
And I tried to put them a bit in the.
Yeah.
But you want to try?
Okay, sure, I'll try. Okay. Can I move everything around?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. So.
I'm trying to, film and.
Yeah. And okay, so I think how I see it a bit interconnected. I'm gonna start the opposite way of how I started with the post-it.
Okay.
Actually, I'll start from eh, from the land. So I start with the island of Aruba, where we have, of course, like the local population, which in great deal is dependent on the tourism industry for its economy. So strong connection between the local population and the tourism industry. And we have population growth of both mostly of tourism, which also lead to an increase in tourists, increase in people on the island, of increasing imports of food and materials, and also increased development for households and workforce and supporting infrastructure. So we have also an increase in development for hotels. And so yeah, thanks to this increased development, and due to the increased development, there is there's an increase in hotels, which results in which can result in an increase in deforestation, and coastline development. So we have the coastline which is getting further developed, which results all of this together with together with the off-roading, the grazing from goats, and the increase of artificial beaches, I think, leads to an increase in runoff. And an increase in sedimentation. And I think due to the increase in sedimentation, then we start to see also direct connections to the water, actually. And which can be, the increased sedimentation can be detrimental for both mangrove, seagrass, and corals. And ultimately also affect the animals, fish, and crustaceans that live in this ecosystem. As seagrass, mangroves, and corals, they're all interconnected. And I think another way then to see through all of this, mostly population growth, tourism, local, and also a bit of a lack of development of supporting infrastructure like sewage treatment plants, and for the amount of people that we have now and tourists. And we see also a net increase also in the vegetation and sewage influx into the marine environment.
You say this one should be like around here?
Yeah, I suppose so.
It should be connected.
It should be
like-
connected to development, but there is no clear connection. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. And I think then
And then these ones, because you had the sewage. was down
there, yeah, here it is.
So then
So
we can connect this here
Yeah.
somewhat to the.
eh,
Maybe we move these
yeah,
ones
we
over
can move a bit up.
to
So
here.
we have sewage, and sewage is not only nutrients, but it's also all the things that come with it, which especially around as it takes also like the Bubalios to take the waste from the hospital. Is it like also is there anything else except for sewage, like medical waste or anything else that should be investigated? And this is also linked, the sewage, also to cruise ship, but also with the solid waste. With I lost it. There is it. Yeah, it's getting a bit packed, but let's say
Yeah, it's good.
yeah. And the solid waste is linked also to the local and tourism population, like with the adequate infrastructure to dispose the waste. Which steps forwards have been made with the closing of the dam, but there's still a long way to go. Yeah. Yeah. And I think all of this on top, then we have, well, of course, there is also beach goers, but like which is connected
Maybe
between,
these ones?
yeah. And then we have indeed all the direct interaction with the sea among the fishing, commercial, spear and sport fishing that has a direct connection with the fish and the
Negative one, I
crustaceans.
Negative, I assume?
Eh, I wouldn't say negative, but like yeah, it takes out from the fish population. Yeah.
I mean, mathematically.
Mathematically speaking, yeah. Then of course it depends how it is done. And the same with the crustacean, like lobsters, invertebrates like octopuses and so forth. And then direct connection is also snorkeling, diving, and beachgoers. That's also a direct connection with all of this. But I see this also can be positive depending on how it is done. So like actually like you expose people to this beautiful ecosystem like coral, seagrass, to the animals, fish.
Maybe we can put it here so it's connected to awareness?
Yeah. But yeah, it depends on how it is done.
Yeah.
Yeah. On how actually people go. Also beachgoers. Do they dispose of their waste when they go to the beach? Do they actually like pay attention? So all of this, yeah, maybe it's both ways.
Yeah, I can, you see the waste is around here.
Yeah,
And we can also move it.
yeah. And I like to take this from another side. So the jet ski is more impactful, especially for the noise pollution, and possible also for noise pollution for sure is an issue. And
Yeah, that one hasn't been mentioned yet, so it's really good.
no,
Yeah, we can
there
put
is
the
I can
cruise ship
I
in.
have to please remind me because I'm gonna forget. But there is an interesting study that actually they did also on the noise pollution on Aruba compared to other islands. And you see all islands have like a bit of noise, a bit of sound. Aruba is just noise, just full on noise. And yeah, I would like actually to start recording that especially also in those areas and compare different, but different topics.
That's the
Yeah.
We also, this is good because this is one of the things that we want to expand on. So we are now doing the baseline parameters.
Yeah.
And for us, the next baseline parameter would be noise. So
That's fantastic. Also because you can assess biodiversity on.
that's why
It's
like,
very
rather
easy.
than trying to define
Yeah.
like each species,
Yeah.
like to have
Yeah.
as a measure of complexity,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
for land and for water.
It will be super cool.
Yeah.
It will be really, really
That's
cool.
the next one because
Yeah.
it would just be one thing, just
Yeah.
like the way we do for pH or temperature.
Yeah.
It's one thing, but it has a large
Many
effect.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be. This is a part, but it will be interesting because like maybe if I can find a way to like include in my PhD, maybe I can get the proper equipment and then we can also use it in comparison to what you wanna build yourself and use both. So it can also
Yeah.
beneficial for both.
Yeah, because what is important for ours, or like what I think is long term important,
Mhm.
also just like the project we have right now,
Yeah.
is to have continuous measurement.
Yeah, of course.
And a lot of the more expensive equipment, people don't want to leave it in the ocean.
Yeah, I understand. But that's always funny because we tried once with Tatiana, I think with an old camera, and it disappeared.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we would have, in a way, you will have to make it a bit like also like safe to leave.
But we've left sensors now for.
Yeah, indeed, and sensor like nobody really sees.
Yeah, and there can be a camera in a sensor, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to just. You want to build
Yeah.
something that.
Yeah.
And you put like anyway.
Yeah, but indeed, but yes, yeah, and I think. Okay, to go back into the map, where we noise pollution. That is like jet ski, linked to the cruise ships,
Also the imports, right?
and the imports, all the boats that come by to bring the. Where did we have them? Here, import and food material. That's a long way around.
Yeah. I'll just put a little.
Yeah, noise. And I think the noise pollution affects animals, fish, the whole ecosystem actually. And also larger ones when we talk about sharks, when we talk about whales, dolphins, which
Marine mammals.
It's
part of it.
Yeah, mammals, cetaceans, and sharks, let's say the larger ones. Of course also the small ones. Poor people. Poor tiny animals.
So we're doing some work for Baseana, just some decorations for them.
Yeah.
But in researching the products, I
Yeah.
went through the list of species in Aruba, and I was surprised about like things you've never heard of or stuff that are supposed to be in our waters or that are on their list of.
Oh, you mean of larger animals?
Yeah.
There's actually quite a lot, but I think, and that I really think is also due to noise pollution, that it's like so busy in the water that they don't come here close, or they stay on the windward coastline,
Yeah.
or they stay further out.
I talked to one guy, and he told me he'd seen them, but on on the southern coast. So like after Baby Beach on the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, Cabez around there, yeah.
So he's seen some.
And you don't
showed me
have,
some videos of the whales and stuff in that area.
Yeah.
But it's
yeah. I wish there would be more also here. And okay.
Maybe it's good if they were here. They would do like the turtles.
tour,
They would
yeah.
just like.
Like now at the Strati when there's like hundreds
Yeah.
of people just around one or two turtles. And then we have wind. I think also it's just part of, I would say, of the natural elements. So like wind, current, which can help also with the runoff.
Put them here maybe with
Yeah.
climate change, or maybe we can put
Yeah.
all of these at the bottom.
No, we can leave it on top. It's like we start to build up. I think the buffer between land. Oh no, this is
In this area near the
yeah,
sediments
around
in the water.
yeah. What else? Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, no. And I think windward side, then we have the grazing also, the runoff, off-roading is also for them, and then the corals on the windward side, and the system on the windward side. And I think nice also to include is maybe like the income of actually pollution from the windward side. So from
Ocean-based pollution?
yeah, ocean-based pollution, yeah, nice. And then I think very nice maybe, and now we come to a bit this part, so the natural elements, so we have current and winds that influence the flow of nutrients, the flow of the runoff, and can also increase the runoff for all the, if there is not enough vegetation and deforestation. And
Oh no, sorry.
no, here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets a bit trickier.
It's okay.
Yeah. And then when we have this, we have the education and research, which I see together with the awareness with the local population and the tourist population, which can also, I lost, where is the marine protected areas? Ah, here. And also marine protected area linked to the local population and the tourism industry, because also a lot of the income for nature conservation on these islands is based from tourism income for now. We know they're trying to diversify their income, and I think then really interesting. Yeah, I think education and awareness can have a lot of interactions between the emotional connection with the sea. Also, education can increase, especially through experiential learning, when you expose the learner to the environment. You have also kind of intervention on off-roading, on the type of tourism that you want to awareness also on the type of tourism that you want to
Also on the type of development.
the type of development that you want to have. Yeah, it can go endless, but let's say, and I think on top of all of this, then you have the big elephants, pink elephant that come on top of all of this is like the increase extreme weather events, climate change, so especially sea water temperature, droughts, rainfall, storms.
We have water temperature somewhere, right? We have water.
Sea water temperature
Yeah,
here.
we go.
And that is detrimental for a lot, unfortunately, for curb effects, the winds. Climate change impact also the wind, increase when there's storms, increased drought, rainfall, can impact directly corals, seagrass, mangroves. It affects also the hotels with increased storms, the coastline, and then further like increasing runoff. So it's like there's this possible positive feedback loop that can start and that are starting.
Yeah. Alright. So I think that's a really good map.
If you can understand from it, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is nice. I have to zoom out, or I cannot. Oh, this is fun. This is what I had to do for my master thesis, pretty much. And then it was more.
Fast.
Huh?
Now you do a fast and rough one.
Yeah, it took me 3 months to come up with it, and now in 5 minutes it's nice. It's super nice actually. And I said, I don't know, that's what I like actually to do, this kind of interaction webs or network analysis, because also then you really get a bit of an overview of the whole interactions and the main components. And of course this is my perspective. I'm sure different people would see different elements.
A little bit funny, we usually we do it in 2 parts. So we do first the environmental system.
Yeah.
It's usually when we ask people how does the ocean work,
Yeah.
they focus on the natural system.
Yeah.
and then we ask them like add the people.
Yeah.
But you already added the people, so we're
Okay.
gonna just go to the.
Yeah.
Because people tend to, have a perspective of nature and people and to separate. Yeah.
Like, it's very funny actually, because I went into environmental sciences and nature conservation. I still want to go in that direction also, because I didn't want to really include people, but then I realized it's pointless, because people.
You keep bumping into people.
So I was like, okay, then, and also indeed we are part of nature, like 100%, but like, even though we do not act as part of nature most of the time. But like then, I don't know, now I'm really making it the whole focus of my research, trying to integrate, how do we integrate people with nature, how do we reconnect people with nature, and to study the connection. So it's, yeah, I cannot anymore see them, those two things, yeah.
So now that we have a sense of like how it works kind of currently, you already touched upon some of your fears for the future, some of your hopes for the future.
Yeah.
More education and more climate change. So what we're trying to do, well, the project is called Future Ocean Conversations.
Yes.
So you want to think about the future.
Okay.
So what we do is like if you can think of Aruba and its ocean like together, right? What do you imagine in 2100? So in like
77 years from now. Okay.
76.
76, fair enough. We're at the end of the year. And optimist or?
Just whatever you feel like, just yeah.
Yeah?
Just your
honest opinion?
Yeah.
Well, if I have to be very honest, I see it can go two ways. And I would like to see many more, but I will focus on two mostly that I see. And it's one that is like the business as usual prevails. So like that we continue on the trajectory of unregulated coastal development, further expansion of the whole land, and always decrease the natural buffer that you actually have on the island, and that will result, unfortunately, I think, in catastrophic shifts. So really like larger increase in runoff, deforestation, a larger die-off of already the very degraded coral reefs, mangrove system, and seagrass beds that we have here on the island. And I think I would like to see it the other way, that like we really start to take into account nature with also like the land, with the how do we want to actually see our future society. And I would like to really that nature start to play a really large role in our conversation. So it's no longer like how do we want to develop and how do we consider what impact will it have in nature. It's like how can we develop so that human and nature can thrive, as we are dependent on nature for thriving. So it's a bit counterintuitive that we are like destroying it, what actually supports us. And so I would like to see maybe a more inclusion of nature protection, especially seeing the degraded state of many ecosystems, nature restoration, or at least allowing nature to recover, so giving it the space. And I have a very ecological approach, so I'm not sure from the economics and from the...
It's okay, just from your perspective.
Yeah. And but I would see there will be need at one point to put a stop on the continuation of development. We are a small island, we are a finite space and everywhere, but like it's more evident in small islands. So it's like at one point we have developed most of the coastline, there's barely any coastline left to develop, and indeed now we see developments are going inland. So we have to start to rethink, okay, this model cannot go on, the continual growth model cannot go on, so how can we maybe think about more degrowth or at least repurposing or changing of the tourism industry in a way that we can also like diversify the economical income of Aruba, because now we're mostly dependent on tourism. So I think also like how can we diversify it in a way that we don't have to depend on this perennial growth model.
Right.
Yeah. And the specificity, I don't know yet.
Okay.
I would need to work with the economists, the policy makers, and everything.
So you see, by 2100, you'll see that we've stopped developing our coastline, and
Either or, either or. It's like two ways, and we have to take into account that like it is projected best case scenarios, climate change is going to increase. So on top of all of this that I'm saying, we have to add the increased climatic impacts that we're going to have. So we're going to have, for sure, the seawater is going to increase. So we are going to witness more bleaching of corals, so decrease also of coral reefs. Means also more warmer temperature that we're experiencing already in Aruba. So all of this on top is going to create also like, I think at least it can create social unrest. It's going to create the livability is going to also change a lot, and this can also impact the whole tourism industry, especially if increased storms happen to arrivals on Aruba, with also increased impacts along the coastline. So all of this will also play a role in what trajectory we will take.
okay. So I think to dive deeper into your second scenario was
Mhm.
like, what is the best case scenario for Aruba? Like, if all your dreams come true and you're just like, I wish by 2100 Aruba would look like, how would you describe it?
This
It's
is
the
hard.
best case scenario,
Yeah,
so you can let go of all of the like,
a
you know, I'm not
realistic,
sure how we're
yeah.
gonna get there. and
Okay.
It's like complicated because economics, but just the
Okay.
best case scenario.
And this is really personal,
It's
like it's
for
not,
you,
because
You're
it
not
should be a
representing
vision
university
of the
or-
whole population, not but like, okay. I would say individually, I would love to see a thriving nature around the island, a thriving ocean filled with life again, filled with corals, seagrass, larger forest, restored forest of mangroves. I would like to see natural beaches again, allowing to develop. I would like to see a bit less tourist, if I may say, a little bit less tourist, and yeah, more focus on also like circular economy, like more green energy if possible, like to support actually this small island. And also I would love to see, but this is personal, but like a greater also development for research institute in collaboration with the different stakeholders, like with the marine park, the university, the schools, also like the fishermen, and all like collaborating for the thriving of the ecosystem, of the ocean ecosystem. And I don't know, for me, if I think, for me my vision is more based on the nature than the society. And then the society, I hope there will be also better, like a more equitable society, because there is also a lot of economic disparity in Aruba, so also more equity. And so also of course like looking at the social aspect, not personally linked to the ocean, but of course it is linked in a way. If there is no social well-being, how can you also like put worries of environment and further in the future into your daily life? So I think also like including also more like larger social justice on the island that will, I think, also result in a better environmental care
Okay.
all over the place. Yeah.
And from what we drew earlier,
Mm-hmm.
what do we need to what are some changes we need to make that more feasible?
Okay. I think if I look specifically at the drawing that we did, I would say very specifically long-term planning for the development of the island, and actually looking also at the old plans that were made. There has been a lot of plans and actually implemented. So like if you look at the integration of nature and development, and even though I'm comfortable like starting to consider, okay, have we reached our overcapacity of development on the island, or if we want to become like certain islands like Bahamas that is like totally developed, some islands in the Bahamas, or like, so it's like depends a bit on what trajectory do we want to go. If we want to tackle some of those issues, I would say for sure develop infrastructures for.
Well, we're trying to get to the best case.
Yeah,
Right?
best case.
Yeah.
So yeah, indeed. So I would say definitely develop supporting infrastructure, so proper waste management, and to try to make it more circular for the consumption. Try to strict regulation on cruise ship and then their output of waste, sewage, and all of this, and develop a support infrastructure like sewage facilities, and increase environmental awareness program for tourist operators, local youth, but also older generations. And I would say, thinking about that, start to think about climate adaptation, because no matter what, we are gonna face climate change, and best case scenario will be still quite impactful. So start to really consider how, as a small island state, can we adapt to the foreseen changes, and yeah, get ready for them. And I think start to make available, like you are doing, like really like start to monitor nature parameters, wild stock parameters of fishes, and like monitor it and manage it, and start to really manage your environment around, because it is in dear need of like having the possibility to come back. And if not, if you cannot do it alone, then okay, think about like nature-based solution, and also like possible restoration interventions. And island-wide marine park that actually like your lot of corridors, because individual patches doesn't work because everything in the sea moves. So it's like you need island-wide marine park, and think about more eco-friendly types of tourism activities also.
All right. What are some things that make these changes hard to accomplish? What do you think are some stumbling blocks towards getting it done?
Can this part be anonymized?
Yeah, sure. We can pause the.
No. It's but yeah, maybe just later. You can just use it, but like maybe later. And well, I think unfortunately corruption. I think that plays a part. I think there is a lot of political influence also from the tourism industry that plays a lot of pressure on the local policies, also to continue the business as usual, because it is very beneficial for some people. And I think some part is also actually unknown of how would the other model look like. If we would start to talk about circular properly, like how do we change this, how do we degrow, how do we transform from this like more consumeristic neo-colonial approach, neoliberal approach to business, how do we go to something else? There is no clear path, like whereas neoliberal approaches, there is very clear steps to maintain it and to further it, whereas the other one is a bit step in the unknown. How do we can really like promote degrowth and still make it a viable economy and for the larger population also. So I think fear of the unknown plays a big role. So actually, like, it will be very useful to really like make concrete scenarios of how it will look if we want to take another option, and that will help also, I guess, also policymakers. And I think an issue also is that many of these issues go beyond the mandate of politicians. So like they have to make the decisions, but many of these issues are so long term, like climate change, for instance, and they're so broad and so daunting. It's like, how do you approach it in just 4 years? How do you make actually like this long-term vision, and that needs to be maintained across political mandates? So I think that is also an issue. And I think, and this I don't know, but like it's something I would like to investigate, is like, what is actually the awareness of the tourism population and the awareness of the local population, but like true awareness on what is the current state of Aruba's environment, what is the current state, what is the threats that climate change pose to Aruba. Is there awareness about this? Like, and I don't mean like superficial awareness of like, oh yeah, there is climate change, yeah? Like more like, okay, what is actually really gonna happen? What am I risking personally as an individual living on Aruba? What are my foreseeable risk? And maybe based on that, then how do we want to change? Maybe that would also promote a more interest in that. Maybe there is a lack of awareness, but that's also, and I think one which I should have put in there is enforcement. Maybe we can add that later, but I think enforcement, there is some regulations already into place, but without enforcement, then it's a bit pointless, because it's pointless to have regulations if we do not have enforcement.
Okay. And is there something you think that would make these that we could start doing right now that would allow us to kind of like avoid some of these like which one, like you mentioned a few points, like from corruption to like lack of awareness to like entrenched interests to like the shortcomings of the political system. What is something you think we could do now that could kind of help us start on the right path, or like help push, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of like be a nudge.
A nudge in the right direction.
Yeah.
I think there's many things that can be done, and I think that these issues require collaboration. Because I mentioned, there is like, we are talking about from ecology, we are talking from economics, we are talking from policy, we are talking from social justice, we are talking from education. So it's like there's many approaches, and seeing my background, I'm gonna stick a bit to my expertise. And but like I think it's fundamental for us all to collaborate across disciplines with many people, so that we can all, we need many nudges in many directions. And I think from my background, I would focus on the awareness prospect. So like adapt also the educational curriculum to the context of small island and Caribbean, wider Caribbean region. So to actually understand what is the environmental situation now and the current threats that we're facing, and how can we actually act upon it. Promote more environmental awareness and restoration. And I think there is a lot of initiatives on this actually already. So on that I'm already quite positive. And there is already nudges, we see already like a lot of very great initiatives, like even like the junior camp with the park, and that expose the youth to the environment. And I think I would like to focus most on this. And I think also, yeah, I think as a researcher, like I think also I do impactful research is actually relevant to the context of Aruba. So try to really do something that is relevant for the island, and especially for external researchers coming to Aruba to do research. make sure that they actually work in collaboration with local institution partners to make relevant research and available data then that actually can promote a science-based policy making
Okay.
all over the place also. But
That's a good start.
Yeah.
So now to go in the other end. So you had like two scenarios, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you had described like the business as usual, and then
Mm-hmm.
this other scenario will make some changes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so maybe it is the business as usual, but maybe there's a different scenario. What is the worst case scenario you imagine for 2100?
We wanna go there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
the whole spectrum. So.
Okay. Well, if I look at the trends in the last 100 years of biodiversity, I foresee collapse of the coral reef in the not even 2100, much sooner, and I foresee loss of a lot of the coastline due to sea level rise. I foresee severe economic issues due to the impacts that we will receive from climate change, and also like the deterioration of the whole environment, the loss of the natural beauty, which is one of the reasons that attracts also tourists. And I foresee decreasing livability on the island. I do not foresee a very positive future if we go into worst case scenario. And the worst thing of all, I think, is Aruba can play a role in it for at least its local based solutions, so the local circumstances, but it's not only dependent on Aruba. That's like really like we see in the Pacific with all the small islands there. We are dependent also on the global arena, political arena, on the action on climate change. I think there is a lot that we can do locally to at least prepare or like better increase the resilience of our system. And if we don't do that, I do not foresee a very positive future.
And so as you said, some of the changes are not in our hands.
Yes.
Right? But some of them are.
Yeah.
So, is there something you think that we can do that would, or what is the most important thing to avoid these the worst of these impacts?
I wouldn't know. It's a hard question. Well, I think a lot of important approaches we should take is like, for instance, like nature-based solution to prepare a bit for climate changes. I think.
Can you tell us a little bit more about nature-based solutions?
Yes, of course. You actually try to use the environment as a solution to adapt for climatic changes. And I think a lot of what you can do on a small island like this is involving of buffer areas between the sea and the land. So restoring of mangrove forests, also coral reefs, so that they can actually they act like, let's say, natural shields. They block a bit the main impacts of the waves coming on the sea. And mangroves and corals are the forefront, and then there is like mangroves is like the wall, let's say, of the fortress. And then we have they also promote a lot of carbon sequestration, so like that's also like helps with the carbon emissions and climate change. There is and I think it's not only like climate change, but it's also like human well-being. Like natural areas have been shown to actually be very beneficial for the health of humans. So also like this again, emotional connection to nature, reconnection to our origin, which is nature. And then I lost a bit. What was the main question?
No, I think this is great. Is like, yes, what could we do to like limit
The impact.
worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario.
So kind of like from where we are now,
Yeah.
what is something that we could kind of like do to avoid it?
Yeah. And I think,
You know, and it's not necessarily reach the best case,
yeah,
but
somewhere
we
in
don't reach
between.
the
Yeah,
worst
the worst
case.
case.
So what's the
And I think something very interesting also is what we saw at the conference of the legal platform that they're doing also to bring for climate change action. And I forgot the name. But do you remember like the whole small island state coalition also at the UN? Will be nice also if Aruba would actually get the chance to raise its voice in the international arena, which we cannot do, but better the legal restrictions there.
yeah,
And
institutional framework?
And I think these are important. We need to be able to raise our voice in the international arena, and it's like both, or from our political representatives, or simply from the population. We should be able to express our concern for the future, and if we are placed into an international arena, then it's harder on the local base to ignore this. Not demands, but like this request from the local population. That's it.
Right. And so this is kind of a weird question, but like in a lot of movies, there's this concept where like you can go back in time and you kill Hitler and then you avoid the Holocaust, right?
Oh wow! Okay, yeah.
You know the concept, right? It's
Yes.
like
Yeah.
common movie trope.
Yeah.
So, what is the thing, or like what can you go back in time, or what can, if the future scenario where Aruba is destroyed by climate change, if someone could come back in time, what is the disruptive action they could do to avoid collapse?
That's a very cool question, actually, and I would have to think about this. Not sure. I'm thinking of many things. There's but then I will think just we can go back to colonialism, can go back to many things, but yeah, it's a bit difficult. There's many points in history that you will say, okay, maybe we should change that.
Yeah.
And like a lot. And so it's like if I have to choose one.
And you're hoping that you could cause a disruption that would change the timeline, like it's a.
Yeah. It's very difficult because also like Aruba is so influenced by international arena that like you will need we has been colonized. Aruba has been where the local population that have been disrupted, but then and then you think, okay, like if we would have let them develop by themselves, would we have gone somewhere different? We don't know. So it's like if I would I don't know, it's very difficult, and because climate change is global, so it's like
Yeah.
but the local development.
But still, there's, there might not be a point. There's also a lot of, like Eric told me when I asked him this question, that all of the analysis say that if you would have killed Hitler, it still would have happened.
Yes,
So
exactly. So because I'm thinking is that you can change one thing, but I don't think that would prevent to go into this direction at the moment, or
yeah, maybe it's different in this,
yeah. I don't know, I
And
would
there's
like.
for the First World War, there's like Franz Ferdinand, right? Like there's this,
Yeah,
like if they took a different route,
yeah.
would
If
have
they were
resulted in
then he would have not been killed, and would have the First World War started.
yeah.
And but then maybe I will look at it more from a political perspective. So actually, also I don't know enough, unfortunately. It's not my field. But I have the feeling that there is a lot of detachment of the involvement of the population into policy. and that there has been a detachment also from in some countries, and not all, but like from really like striving towards policies that support and voice the interests of the population rather than the interest of some business. It seems like much more to the value of neoliberal policies. I have the feeling we went much more in one direction rather than more like yeah, I'm not sure. There's
okay.
there's so many intervention points that I would like to see, and I don't know. It's like because like when I think about this, I will also go back. There's I point there because I have a book there, the Unnatural History of the Sea.
You're gonna borrow me that book.
Yes, I can borrow actually good,
Nice.
good. Because like when you read that and you read of the first ships from Europe coming, colonizing boats, coming to the Caribbean, and they describe the plentifulness of the sea. I would like to go back to that point and like and already back then really say, let's preserve this, let's use it. Of course, like we're part of nature, it's natural that we have to also like interact and consume, but like not deplete. Like there's stories that like of coral reefs so thick that the boats cannot come in, of
Yeah,
here of fishes that like so much that you cannot see the bottom of the sea, and it's like I don't know, when I talk about this with my students or when I think about this, it's like I see that point. I would like to see that point and put the consciousness of what that behavior lead to today. In only like a few hundreds years has led to the complete depletion of most of these natural stocks. I would like to go back then and just like show them what this is gonna cost and hopefully take a different path. And we're talking about the Americas, because we're now here in the Caribbean. But like even earlier than I would go in Europe, because also in Europe natural areas there is not many left. So I would also start there and like look what is this gonna result in, and it's like and we can always go back in time, but like I don't know if I would like to re-see that, and it's like I know in my lifetime for sure I cannot see it, but like I would love to at least strive towards going to see that, to see the I don't know, go into the sea and not become going to almost something that starts to look like a desert, empty desert, but like really see
Yeah.
its beautiful life thriving around you and everything.
That's the interesting thing about thinking of the year 2100, is if you have a child this year, they're expected to live to that point.
Yeah.
It's within the life expectancy. And so it would be...
Because I'm 30, 23, that's in 77, no I don't think so.
No,
I will not be
you
there.
wouldn't be, but if you
Yeah.
had a child,
Yeah, then
so if
there's-
someone is born today, that's their lifespan. That's like, that is,
they will see it.
yeah. That the
Most
changes
of my
that should
students
happen.
will see 2100, considering life expectancy
Yeah.
are increasing.
A lot of them could.
A lot of them could. It's a bit terrifying to think it's not that far in the future.
Exactly. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why
yeah.
it's like this achievable. It's like one generation.
Yeah. And yeah, it makes me always a bit, if I think about it, always makes me a bit, I can cut this, but makes me always a bit emotional to think, when I think about that, I would love to see that. I know I won't, but like I would really love to see like this thriving nature and us realizing that we are part of nature and stop actually like detaching ourselves and destroying the very thing that supports us the most.
So we have now a series of questions and they're prompts. So it's like I'll say one sentence
Mhm.
and you give me like the first thing that comes to your mind
Okay, let's do it.
when you hear it.
Okay, it's like no, not Cherie, but yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah.
So if you think of tourism and its interaction with Aruba and its ocean in 2100, what do you think?
Ay, Kristi. I would like to say transformation.
Okay. Cool. If I say science and technology and their interaction with Aruba and its ocean in 2100.
I can just say one word
Whatever comes to you.
or a sentence.
It can be a sentence.
Okay,
a
I thought I had to
paragraph,
say
a
one word, so I was really
No.
thinking hard. Science and technology and the sea,
The interaction.
and the interaction with the sea. I hope to see like a more responsible interaction and more environmental friendly interaction.
All right. Climate change and the interaction with Earth and the ocean in 2100.
I would like to say rough, but I'll think about something else.
That's good. It should be just, the
Yeah.
first, your gut instinct.
I would say rough, because no matter what we're doing now, it's still gonna worsen in the coming years. So
And economics and your interaction with Aruba and the ocean in 2100.
I would like to see more nature oriented.
Policy, government policy, or interaction with Aruba and the ocean in 2100.
Also, I would like to see more nature inclusive policies and social justice, because the two go hand in hand.
Food.
Increase food sovereignty, so like also like try to diversify. Now we rely 100% on import. Assess, is it actually feasible to grow more on Aruba, seeing our resources? If not, how is it possible to make this import of food more sustainable? Either look more like regional imports from, if the situation gets better, but like with Venezuela, Colombia, in more sustainable ways.
Okay. Biodiversity.
Thriving. I would love to see that. Yeah.
Right. Identity and culture.
I would say back to a local identity and culture, and stepping away from the more Western American based. And we are seeing that also. There's a revitalization of the local culture, and yeah.
Cool. Okay, and we're in the last section.
Okay,
So,
nice. That's really interesting. It's really nice actually. I was a bit worried, but like it's actually like, it's really cool.
Sometimes you get different things when
Mhm.
you like ask for the specific area.
Yeah.
You'll suddenly get very different answers.
Okay.
Um,
But you mean this area? You mean Aruba and the Caribbean, or?
no, with the prompts,
Okay,
because
yeah.
like your instinct is like, for you, your instinct is in the ecological department,
Yeah.
and then suddenly you get a question to specifically think about economics, and
Yeah.
something completely different
Yeah.
sometimes comes up,
Yeah.
or like,
And actually, it's a circularity. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so if you can, like, if we had a time machine and we could send a message from today to someone in 2100. You
Okay,
can
wait.
send
I speak to 2100.
Yeah, you can send
Yeah.
a message that they will receive from now to then, like, not like an old letter that you
No.
but something that can. What would you wanna share about the ocean today? Is there something about our reality today that you think could be important to tell someone?
I have, I think, two directions here, and I think one, if it's like business as usual and you go the worst case scenario, I would like to say forgive us for not thinking about the future generation enough and taking strong enough actions to ensure that this beautiful nature arrives thrive-full in 2100. And the hopeful side of me, I hope I can send a message to them and saying, I know at the moment it's very deteriorated. I'm sure that when you will go into the sea, you will see a very thriving and beautiful ecosystem. So it depends on the two trajectory.
So kind of in that same line, is there, like, there are, like you mentioned, like these stories that you read from, hundreds of years ago. Is there an image that you wish you could send to the future to show of the ocean that we have today?
In what sense? An image, like a picture, or like a
It could be whatever you
a
imagine.
mental image? You mean?
It could be either.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess something that you could show of the ocean, that, you know, to show what we have lost or what we had, what we have today. It could be a video or a picture or like a VR or like it can be more immersive than, you know, because a picture's kind of flat, but
Yeah. Yeah, like maybe like indeed like a VR video of the healthy coral reef, and I focus on coral reef because it's one of my passions. But like there's seagrass, no, also and mangroves is beautiful. But like I would focus on coral reef because I see that's the most threatened ecosystem. Even though I'm sure they have seen a lot of worse changes and so, and they have come back and so, but. I would say like a very healthy coral reef with a lot of fish and sharks swimming around it, swirling around you, and you will hear all the noise of all the life underwater, and that's also something. Yeah, the sound of a thriving ecosystem like coral reefs. I think that's what I would like to share with them.
what are some things that you are grateful to the ocean for?
Everything I would like to say, but I would say I'm very grateful for, I don't know, to me like for it represented really an emotional connection with the ocean, and of course I do sports on it, I work on it and everything, but like for me the strongest I feel is like this emotional connection to the ocean. So I think just I'm grateful for it just to be, and it's like that's something also about nature and the ocean. It's like I'm just grateful for it to be there, to be my home, my house, independently from where I am. I'm now in Aruba, but it could be in Italy, it could be in Belgium. It's the same ocean, same nature. So it's like I'm grateful for it just to be there and to be part of it, I think.
Alright. Is there someone you think we should have this conversation with that you would recommend us to?
And yeah, of course, there's many people, I would say. And I would like to, I think it will be very interesting to have this conversation with old fishermen. I think it will be interesting to have, of course, also with the people of FPNA, like Scisciolo or like anybody who is really in contact with the ocean, and she has been since a young age also. I think it will be interesting to see also here, it falls all around also tourism, right? It will be interesting to see also from the tourist perspective, and not only the big players of hotels, but also maybe tourist operators that actually are in contact with the environment and they don't have environmental awareness, or maybe they have a lot actually. So it's like it will be interesting to see also how they envision the future, because they will in close contact with climate change and the ocean changes and everything.
That's a good point. Okay. Some of these are already in the list and some
Yeah.
of them are not. So,
Okay, nice.
Is there something you think that we should read, follow, see to like further kind of like understand our connection to the ocean?
Well, I would recommend the book, The Unnatural History of the Sea, although it won't be a happy read. So maybe like, I don't know, I think it depends what you are. If you are a reader, I would recommend many books, but that is one example. But I think the best way, personally, that I got connected to the sea is by being in it.
Okay.
So I would recommend you go to the sea and do not stop at the surface of the sea, because there is a whole world below the sea. And if you're not a swimmer, I understand you can do it in the shallow water, just with a lot of floaties around you, so there is no fear of drowning. But like, realize that there is a whole world in the sea. It's not just this body of water, but there is life in it, and we depend and are connected to it.
So kind of, I guess a good next question is, where should we go? Like, what is your favorite beach or water?
I'm not gonna say it in this,
Okay.
because if you get then out, it's gonna be overpopulated.
We can turn the camera off when you go.
Yeah?
After the conversation, you'll tell me?
Yeah, of course.
Just
No.
for Etonian scene to...
Yeah. I don't know, I think there's many beautiful spots here on the island. I love the North Coast. I don't often go in the sea on the North Coast due to the roughness, but if it's not too rough, I like to go into the sea there as well. But there you see the mighty of the sea, really like the power that this entity has. And then on this side of the coast, I prefer where there's not much development, so that starts to be difficult. I must be honest, aside from the Ritz down to Divi Beach, the cruise ship Renaissance Island, I don't often go there. Not for the sea. If I go there, it's for a bar or like for something else. But like, even though there is beautiful beaches, but inside the water there is not much to see, and that is why usually I go to the sea.
All right. And well, I think you already answered this. What should we do to improve our connection to the ocean? So.
And I think this is really, you can do many things. And I completely understand if you're not a person who likes to go into the sea, there's now amazing possibilities to virtually explore the sea. So you can do it like following amazing documentary like Blue Planet. There's like, gives you the beautiful side of nature. It doesn't often show but the second one I think also was more about the negative impacts. So that's also interesting. I would like to contribute in the future to creating VR experiences of the sea here in Aruba. So like, if you don't want to go into the sea, you can still experience it and read about it, like try to discover what is happening nowadays. Try to, if you'd like to go into the sea, go to it regularly. Pay attention to the changes, like discuss with your elders also what changes, what they saw, what you see, so that you are not affected by we are all affected by the baseline syndrome and all of this.
Alright, that's it. That's the end of the interview.
Fantastic.